What's up guys, my name is Spec and today we're going to be talking about logo design, and I'm super excited to dive into this because it's my most requested video so far. Since most of my clients are streamers or content creators, I'm going to be focusing on personal logo design, but these tips can also be applied to small businesses, artists, or stores. A logo is the most essential branding tool that you're going to have, and it's going to appear on most of your social media and branding materials, so it's very important that it's done well. A good logo is going to bring all your branding ideas together and really convey who you are in just a small image. So if you want to stick around and figure out how to design your own, keep on watching. The first step of developing a logo is having a clear identity as a creator and a brand. What are values that are important to you and what sets you apart from everybody else? As mentioned in my branding video, a good way to think about this is describe yourself or your brand in 5 keywords or less. Once you have a rough idea of your aesthetic in mind, now it's time to find some inspiration. I've mentioned free logo design before in my branding video, and it's really great for getting ideas and seeing your name within a logo, but it's not so great for actually getting your logo design. This is mainly just to see your name in different fonts and with different designs, and hopefully give you a little bit of direction in which way to go. As far as logo designs go, 99designs.com is the best resource for finding inspiration. If you're really struggling with finding what aesthetic to go for, think about what your audience would be drawn to. If you play a lot of really cutesy games and maybe you play stuff like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley, maybe your audience would be drawn to pastel colors and cutesy designs. And if you play a lot of scary games, maybe go for something a little bit more intense and really do some dark colors, maybe some reds. Another good way of seeing what your audience might be drawn to is looking at your competition. So look at streamers that also stream within your genre and kind of see what their overall aesthetic is. But please do not lift from a competitor, because the whole point is to make sure that you're unique and you don't want to lift exactly from someone else's design. And make sure that you're not even doing something too similar, because you want to be different enough to be set apart. Really think big picture during this stage. Don't get too bogged down with tiny details. Another great way to come up with ideas, especially if you're a visual person like me, is coming up with a mood board on Pinterest or another website. This way you can just dump pictures or references or visuals that give you some inspiration and kind of encapsulate the aesthetic you're going for. If you're still struggling, try to at least find an overall style that you can go for, such as modern versus classic or intense versus cutesy. So now you know the overall aesthetic of the logo, but now you have to pick the type of logo. Yeah, there are different types of logos, 7 to be exact, and I'm gonna have to look at my notes during this part because even I get them confused. So typically logos are sorted into one of these main categories: abstract, mascot, combination mark, emblem, letter mark, pictorial mark, or word mark. Yeah, it's a lot. The first kind is a monogram logo or a letter mark. This is typically used with bigger businesses, and it's usually the business's initials. This is used with NASA and HBO. Second is word marks. This is the easiest type of logo to make, and it's just your name or your business name in a memorable font. Think Google or Visa. You can take a stock font and edit it to suit your needs, or create your own font, and this is really popular with personal branding because you can make a really cool logo out of your signature. Next is pictorial marks or logo symbols, and this is the most straightforward type of logo and probably what comes to mind when you hear the word logo. This mark alone should make the brand easily recognizable, and successfully pulling this off is really tricky for smaller businesses. Because remember, your logo is supposed to convey a lot of information, and if someone doesn't know anything about you, that's really hard to do with just a tiny picture alone. Examples of this logo type are Instagram, Twitter, and even Twitch. Abstract logos are a specific type of pictorial logo, and they're not supposed to represent any image. This gives you even more freedom when designing your logo, but it's making it even harder to establish your brand identity if you're a smaller company. Pepsi is a really good example of an abstract logo. Next is the combination mark, which is what I personally use. It's a combo between pictorial and a word mark. It has design elements and pictures directly interacting with the text. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even plan this, and I'm actually wearing merch with my logo on it right now, so represent. Mascot is one of the most popular choices for esports and streamers, and Ninja does this type of logo. A lot of streamers like to develop a mascot or a persona to represent themselves on stream, and it's a really popular choice to be in their logo or emotes. You can also be the mascot in this type of logo, and a lot of YouTubers and streamers go this route. Emblem logos are a font inside of a symbol, and they can be combined with other images or mascots, and it gives it a really striking look. Starbucks Coffee and Harley Davidson use this logo type. This type is also popular with esports and is usually the first thing that pops up when you Google logos for streamers. Whew, that was a lot, but I want to give you as many options as possible. Too many streamers just default to the esports look, and I get it, it looks really clean and awesome, but it doesn't always fit the brand. If this really intense esports look fits you, go for it, it looks great. But don't feel like you have to be tied down to the most popular trends. To narrow the options down for streamers and personal branding, I highly recommend word marks, combination marks, mascots, and emblem logos. You can choose any of the types I listed before, but for independent creators, these are really great starting out. Next for your logo design is color. I highly recommend getting the design elements sorted out and developing your logo in black and white first. This can prevent you from relying too much on color to convey your message. Think about how you want your audience to feel in response to your brand. Do you want them to be excited, secure, or inspired? Color can give subtle nods to all these feelings and more, and combining colors can add even more meaning. Coolors.co is a great resource for developing color schemes, but try to keep it minimal when developing your logo. You also want to avoid using gradients in logo design because it can really muddle your design and make it look a little too complicated. Here are some basic colors and their meaning within logo design. If you're wanting to design a logo with text, you have to keep in mind the font. It's super important. The two basic types of fonts are serif and sans serif. And remember, a serif is the little foot at the bottom of some logos, and sans serif means no serif. There are also script fonts, which are supposed to look like handwriting, and display fonts, which are highly stylized and unique. Serif and script are generally associated with more classic and elegant aesthetics, and sans serif gives a more bold and modern look. Display fonts can be all over the place, but are really nice if you're wanting to go for a more whimsical aesthetic. Now you have all the elements you need in creating your logo, and it's time to put it together to represent the vibe you're going for. This can be really difficult, so getting a second opinion during the stage can be super helpful. If you're not planning on creating the design yourself, getting these all organized and sending it to a designer can really help the commission process. Once you have your finished logo design complete, you can now start implementing it within your brand. You can start implementing this logo within merch, your business cards, and everywhere on your social media. As a streamer, this can also be used in your overlay and graphics. As you start to implement this logo into your brand, it could take a while for people to associate it with you. If you want to pair it with text or other symbols that already represent you, it can make this process a lot faster. Also, you may want to edit the design as you see people's reaction to it, and that's okay, but you want to keep in mind that every time you change your logo, you may have to start that process all over again. Every time you change your logo, you risk a disconnect with your brand's identity. If you really want to alter your design, try to keep as many elements the same as possible, such as symbols, font, and colors. If you guys are interested in the actual design process of a logo using Illustrator, Procreate, and Photoshop, don't forget to subscribe because I'm going to be making a video on that very soon. Thank you so much to my patrons over on Patreon for all the love this month, and if you'd like to support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. You get exclusive content as well as early access to YouTube videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.